Happy Thursday afternoon to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade with your daily afternoon tropical weather update. Still good news for us in southeast Texas. No tropical cyclones heading our way, but we've still got about another month where we have a decent shot for something to develop that could push into the Gulf and head this way. After that, our chances really starting to go down, and we are still fairly close to what was the peak of hurricane season, which was back on September 10th. So we are starting to get closer and closer to the end of hurricane season, but we are still in that very active, very busy period. So certainly you want to stay alert, keep it here, and of course we will keep you posted and keep you updated on what is cooking out there in the tropics. We're looking at the Atlantic Basin, the Atlantic Ocean, and then we've got the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean, and we don't have any action in the Gulf or the Caribbean right now, but we do still have Hurricane Margot, and we're still tracking Hurricane Lee. The good news with Margot is that it is expected to kind of do a little loop or a little circle way out in the central Atlantic and is not expected to impact land. A little bit of good news with Hurricane Lee is the fact that we are seeing it weakening as it heads closer to the northeast U.S. But it is a very wide system, so even though it is weakening, those tropical storm force winds and those hurricane force winds will extend far out from the center. So for that reason, even though Hurricane Lee is going to pass west of Bermuda, it's actually doing that right now, it's still spreading the threat for some of those tropical storm force winds and the heavy rain, strong surf, strong rip currents for Bermuda. So that's why we have Bermuda in that shade of dark blue, because that is a tropical storm warning currently for Bermuda at this point. Here's the latest with Hurricane Lee. Currently, maximum sustained winds down to 85 miles per hour, so that makes it a Category 1. Remember, at one point, Lee was a Category 5 hurricane last week, so fortunately it weakened quite a bit since then, but it is still packing a punch. Movement to the north at 15 miles per hour, so it is starting to speed up now after slowing down for a few days. Pressure at 957 millibars, and you can see it kind of swirling there, kind of looking a little raggedy at this point. Most of the showers and storms on the western side, not much convection or storm action on the eastern side at this point, but it is still holding itself together enough to still be considered a hurricane. In fact, the forecast takes it on off to the north of Bermuda by Friday afternoon, still holding on to Category 1 hurricane status with winds around 85 miles per hour. Saturday afternoon, starting to impact portions of the east coast of the U.S., northeast U.S., and portions of Canada, likely up around Nova Scotia. Heavy rain, the risk for some strong rip currents, dangerous surf, and also potentially some hurricane force winds. Now, fortunately, it is expected to weaken a little below hurricane strength by Saturday afternoon, down to 70 mile per hour winds, but some of those gusts could be up to 80 to 85 miles per hour. So I think Friday night, Saturday through early Sunday, parts of the northeast, including potentially Boston, could be impacted by Hurricane Lee. In fact, we do still have tropical storm watches out for Boston, hurricane watches out for portions of eastern Maine as well, and hurricane watches extend into portions of Canada, including parts of Nova Scotia. So we certainly could still have some pretty big impacts from Lee, even though it is gradually starting to weaken. As we go into Sunday and Monday, it's pushing farther into Canada, and it should start to weaken even more. It should start to weaken even quicker. By Sunday, down to 45 miles per hour. So if you do have any friends, family, or you have travel plans yourself up to the northeastern U.S., up around New England, expect some impacts likely to flights and other events going on with that threat for strong wind, maybe even a couple of tornadoes, very heavy rain that could lead to some coastal flooding, and also that potential for this to impact parts of Canada as well. In fact, there's Halifax, Nova Scotia, and you can see Lee likely rolling right over that area as we go into Saturday and Sunday. So that is the latest with Hurricane Lee. Let me tell you about Hurricane Margot. This is out in the central Atlantic. So far, Margot has not impacted any major land areas at all, and that is good news. It should remain out in the central Atlantic over the next few days and gradually weaken. And it's also expected to do a loop. Right now it's moving slowly northeast at 5 miles per hour, but then it's going to kind of curve back and kind of do a loop as it slowly weakens as we go into this weekend and early next week. So still a Category 1 hurricane by Friday afternoon, 75 mile per hour winds, but then it weakens to a tropical system, a tropical storm by Saturday afternoon with 60 mile per hour winds and still maintaining winds around 60 miles per hour by Monday afternoon. But notice it's just kind of doing this little loop here, and it is not heading anywhere close to the Caribbean islands, and it's not heading anywhere close to the U.S. So a wider perspective will show you Hurricane Lee in the western Atlantic. We've got Hurricane Margot in the central Atlantic. North central Atlantic, that is, moving into those cooler waters, so that should help to weaken it some. We've also got another interesting area down here, another disturbance, and we're calling that 97L, Invest 97L. Now up to a very high chance to become a tropical depression or tropical storm within the next 48 hours and within the next 7 days, a 90% chance. You can see where that red X is located. That's the system that we are closely monitoring south, well to the south of Hurricane Margot. Movement at this point to the northwest, so that would take it by the middle of next week, a little closer to the Caribbean islands, closer to the east coast of the U.S. So we will be monitoring the potential for more impacts to parts of the U.S. next week. It will likely be late next week into next weekend. I want to show you the European model though, because this will show you what is left of Hurricane Lee in the western Atlantic, and it will be tracking closer to New England as we go into the next few days. There it is, impacting potentially portions of New England, Boston, up around Maine. This is going to be around 10 a.m. Saturday, so that's when conditions really start to go down and deteriorate in parts of New England, parts of coastal Canada as well, over towards Halifax, Nova Scotia. So that is for this weekend. Then as we look ahead and fast forward to the middle of next week, this is going to be 4 p.m. Wednesday of next week. Look what we have brewing in the southwestern Atlantic. This is what is currently Invest 97L, but by the middle of next week, it will likely be Nigel. Maybe a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane, but we are seeing in the models that this system, Invest 97L, looks to get stronger, more organized, and by the middle of next week it will be getting closer to the east coast of the U.S., closer to those Caribbean islands, so that one will have to be monitored very closely. So far this season, we've had 14 named storms, 5 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes, and we are very close to our average season, but the problem is that we've still got a few more months to go. So we will likely end up with above average numbers like the Colorado State University forecasters were thinking, and also like NOAA was thinking with their latest forecast. So we will keep our fingers crossed that none of those systems head our way. For now, Gulf of Mexico is quiet. Caribbean is quiet, but of course we do still have Hurricane Lee that you can see off in the distance there in the western Atlantic, and we do still have Hurricane Margot as well. But at least we're quiet here. Those water temperatures out there though are super warm everywhere, widespread 80s. We even have a few 90-degree readings. You can see that water temp right there from that buoy near South Florida, 90 degrees. So if we can get Invest 97L to keep on forming and pushing west-northwest, it's going to be able to tap into some of that warmer water, and that will likely strengthen it pretty quickly. So the next name on the list, as we've been telling you, will be Nigel, and that will likely be Invest 97L either this weekend or next week. Could even develop before that. I can't rule out it developing tonight or tomorrow, so we'll be updating you on that. But then we've got several more names that we could potentially go through as we go through the rest of our hurricane season. We're hoping things don't get super busy and active, but we will be here to update you just in case. For now, things are quiet for Southeast Texas, but of course, make sure that you stay updated with our Fox 26 weather app. Make sure that you have that downloaded on your phone. You can keep track of all of the latest tropical weather, our local weather, anything popping up on the radar will be right at your fingertips, no matter what errands you're running, no matter where you're going. That is it for your tropical update for today. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.